Hello everyone, this is Anup. Welcome to another video on ADF. Today I am going to show you how to copy all tables in between two Azure SQL databases. So let me show you the databases that I have first, and then we'll talk about the steps we are going to do. So first I have this database which is my source. So here's the database, and these are these 12 tables which I plan to copy over to my destination, which is this database. Let me show you the tables. So I will copy all those 12 here. These are not there right now, so I will copy this into destination. So I will show you how to do that, and what are the steps how we are going to do it is just a brief overview I'll give you. So what I'm going to do is get the list of tables in the source database using a lookup activity, and the output of that lookup activity will be passed on to a loop for each loop. So we will loop through each table name and copy that one by one, and we will create parameterized data sets for the source and destination. So we will create variables within the pipeline which will be passed as parameters to these data sets, and then we'll use the copy activity to copy data. So let's dive in, let's get on with it, and I'll show you how to do that. So let me go to my ADF. So this is, I'm in my Azure Data Factory and in the designer. So let me go and create a new pipeline. So let's call it, let's go here, copy database tables, let's call that, and let's close this. Right, so the first thing we need decided was we needed a lookup activity. So let's get that lookup activity. Okay, so we go to the lookup activity. Let me just minimize this and this. So let me call it get table list, right? So let's do that, and let me go to the settings. In settings we will create a new data set from here. So we'll create a new data set, and I will call this is called this is from Azure SQL, so we'll just say Azure SQL database, right? And click on continue, and let me call this as data set table list. All right, for the spelling, table list. And I already, okay, so there is already one, so let me call it list 2. Okay, so and this is my source server. So I've already created the link service for this project. So if you need help with that, there are other videos you can see how to create a link service on my channel, and if you need help, just comment and I'll help you out with that. So I already have the link service, so I will not give any table name here because I want plan to use a query to get the list. So I'll just click on OK here, right? And then I will go to my the settings here and put in a query here. Let me edit this query. I have already got it saved, so let me just copy it from there. Okay, so enter, yeah, so let me copy this. So right, so this is not exactly right. Let me copy it. The select name is a table name, and I'll say schema. There is a function I will use because I want the schema name as well, because you might have different schemas within your database. Schema underscore, I think so, it's called name from underscore ID. As I want to name that as schema name, right? So let me just run it on the SQL and see if it works fine, because just confirm that. So let's run it. Right, so schema name is wrong. I think something spelling is wrong as usual. Schema underscore name, I think that's right. Now let's run that. Yeah, so this gives you a list of all the tables and thus their schema name, relevant schema name. So you have DBO schema and sales LT schema. That's what you get. So that's what we want first. So we'll just copy this into here and click OK. and if you want to do preview data, you could do that, but we've already checked this query, so I don't want to spend time there. So that's it. That's the first step. And then what we want to do is put the output of this in a for loop. So let's get the for loop activity. So we'll say for each, right? Let's get that. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll just disable it for time being. I'll show you what we are going to do, and we'll just run this get table list and get the output how it looks in ADF. So let's debug that. Okay. Okay, that's done. So let me check the output. Let me maximize this. So this is what is for so what I made basically is just given a first row here. It is not given all the rows. If you look when we done the query, so let me go back to the query, we had all the 12 rows, but here it is, if I go back to ADF, it's just giving me one. So I made a mistake, so let me close this. So let me just fix this. So if I go back here, so I have to remove this first row only, so that I have to remove. So let's run this again. So yeah, let's debug it again. And just okay, that's done. So let's get the output. So now let me maximize this. So now you see it is an array which has name and schema name as the values, that and the count is 12. So let me copy this to clipboard. I like to copy it and just keep it. So let's keep it in a notepad. So why I'm copying, so what I will show you later as well. We will need it. Okay, so now let me just minimize that one. Okay, let's close this. Okay, now this output of this we want to give it to for each loop, right? So let's activate the loop again, right? And let me go to the properties of each loop. So let me just, so here we'll say for each table, or yeah, let's say that. And in the settings we need to provide the two things you need to remember: do it sequentially. It has to be sequential for loop, so it runs one process one round at a time and then does the next round, not everything together. So I'll select sequential, and here we will give what we want. So we want output of the get table list, that's my output, right? So we want get pull and output dot, what we want is here, if you look, this is says value. So all the values, this is the array, so this is the array starting, so we want the value array, so we want to give that here. So we'll say dot value. Okay, and click on OK. That's it. Now I usually like to test my for loop before I go any further. So what I do usually is put a wait activity. So if you want, you can just, we can just test if we are fine till here. This is just for testing purpose. So let's put a wait activity here and let's debug. Okay, so let's debug. So we should have 12, this should go around 12 times, and each time we should wait 1 second. So this let's wait for it to finish. Okay, so this pipeline is done. So let's see. So we have this running 12 times, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So it's running 12 times and my wait has run 12 times. So that means my for loop is fine, and I can move further. So let me publish till here. Okay, right, so let me publish here. So now what next? Okay, let me finish that publishing. Okay, so now what we want to do is I'll just go into the for loop, I'll edit this, and now what we want to do is we want to, in this array we have, let me just show you, so we have these values coming in. So we want to do one table at a time. So we want the current values of these, and then use the copy activity to copy that table one at a time. So what I will do is we need to put these in a variable, and so that we can use in the data set. So let me create get set variable. Okay, so there is a variable set variable activity, so I will just use that, and first we'll set, let's get table name, say set table name, and okay, so yeah, and setting. Okay, so okay, I didn't create the variables before in the pipeline. We can do it two ways. One is here in the variable, and we can create it here, or we can create in the pipeline. So I'll show you one here and the other one there in the how to create it at the pipeline level. So let's create a new one here, and so we can give it a name. It is called, let's call it current table name, right? So that's the current one which we're working with, and the value here we want is, so we will say we out for, so for the one in the current for loop item dot, and what is it called here? If I go, it is called item dot name. So I'll just put that as item dot name. I'll just say item dot name, right? So that's it. You can do and click on OK. So that's it. And what we want is another variable to get the schema name. So if we have multiple schemas, this will be helpful. So we'll do another set variable activity. So we'll just get that and say set, call it set variable name. Okay, so I told you I'll show you how to create variables at the pipeline level. So let me go back to the pipeline. Here we are, and so in the pipeline level we are here, and if you go into variables, the current table name is showing because it came from the other window here. So let me create it one here. I'll call it current schema name, and that's, so we just want it here. So let's go back in here and let's edit this, and so let's table name, I'll just put it here. So let's get the variable name. So we want set variable name is equal, and what we want is in the settings, let's go, and the variable we want to set is current schema name, and the value we want to give it is, give it in here, the item for each the current one, and that is called, let me copy it from here so we don't get the spellings wrong. So let's call it schema name. Okay, let's copy it here, right? Click on OK, right? So that's it. So that's setting our variables, first step. Now let me just connect these. Okay, now what we want to do next is we want a copy activity. So we want to copy these tables, tables using a copy activity, and in that copy activity I will show you how to parameterize your data sets. So let me do that. Let me get my copy activity first. Right. Oh, okay, so let me just minimize this and let's get the output here, right? So we'll say copy table. Let's rename this as copy table. Okay, and let's go. Okay, so let's, in the source I will create a data set. You could create the data set from here as well in the author, but I will create data sets from here. So I'll just say data set. It's an SQL Azure data set, right? So Azure SQL database. So let's create that, and let me call this as data set source tables, right? And the link service already have Azure source server. Again, here I will not give the table name. We'll just say enter manually, and we'll click on OK. And to parameterize the data set, I'll show you how to do it. So we come back here. Once it's here, you just open it again, your data source, and here you create two parameters for the data set. So go to the parameter tab, click new. The first parameter we want to give is called source table. Let's call it source table, right? And get me another one. So we'll call source schema, right? Let me call that, and let me go to the connection again. Now here what you need to do is click on enter manually, and we want to parameterize the schema name and table name, right? So let's click on here, dynamic content, and you say schema name will be, the parameter name will be schema name. So let's give that source schema, sorry for that. Okay, and in the table name let's add dynamic content, and this is called source table. Okay, click on OK. That's all we need to do here, and let's go back to our copy activity, right? So now in here, okay, so sometimes when you come back in here after you have parameterized your data set, it will sometimes doesn't show both the parameters that we gave. So what we need to do is just go select something else and come back. It should show you that. So it doesn't, right? So it shows both. So that's what I have observed and it doesn't do. So you could do this trick. And so what is the value of this parameter that we want? We want this value to be the variables that we created here. So let me just go back. These are the variables: current table name and current schema name. These are the variables we want to use here. So let's the value for the source table is, let me just add a dynamic content, and then if you go in here, look at the variables. So we want in the source table to be the current table name, okay, right? And in the source schema, let's add that, and variables current schema name, right, from the active current schema name. That's all we want, right? So this is what we want, and that's all. That's for the source side. We will do a similar thing for the sync side. So let's do for sync. Let's create a new data set, and it's Azure SQL DB, right? Azure SQL. So let's do that. Continue. Okay, and we'll call it data set. Let's call it destination table. Okay, and the link service I want to use is this one. That's my destination. So I'll again leave the table name here and click on OK, and we'll parameterize because we want the same table names in the destination as well. So we will use that. So what we'll do is first open this, right, and parameters, right? So we'll create new parameter. So let's call it destination table, and create another one, call it destination schema. Okay, let's do that, and let's go back to connection again, and so we'll say enter manually the table names because we want to parameterize these ones. So let's give the parameters, what parameters should be going here. So this is destination schema, click on OK, and in here we say destination table, right? Click on OK. That's it. So we have parameterized. So let's go back to our sync in the pipeline, in the copy activity. So let me go back to my copy activity. Okay, just let me click here. Okay, so this is my source sync. Sorry, I'm on the sync. So destination, what is the value we want? Again, the same table name. So we'll use the same variables. So go on to the variables. Destination is destination table is current table name. So that's what I want. And the destination schema is my, go to variables, current schema name. Okay, oops, I've done it twice, I think so. That's why it's giving all those red lines. Let's get that out and click on OK. Right, so we want to insert, and what we want to do is auto create table. I don't want to create myself, so let's give this auto create table, and we want to insert data. That's all we want to do. So these are the two things we want to give here, and that's it, right? So yeah, so we're all set. Let me publish, that's all looks like good. Let's run it and see how it goes. So let me start debug. So it's running now. So it's getting the lookup activity. So looks like my copy has failed. Let's look at the error, and okay, what is it saying? Okay, it is some problem with cannot. Okay. So I think so it is showing, telling me it is not able to find the link service. So let me just maximize this. Yeah, saying it is not able to find ADF demos, which is in the link service. So I think so I've used the wrong link service. So let me cancel out of here. Cancel. Let me just cancel and go back to my data source, and I think so this is not the one I wanted to use. Let me edit that one, and this is not the one. Okay, this has got the ADF demo, so this is wrong. So let me cancel out of this one, and let me use the other link service, which is my Azure LS Azure. Let me cross check this one. that's the right one I am using. Yeah, AN SQL Azure Database SQL, and the database name is AN Database. Let's cross check. So yeah, I want this as to be AN Database, so that's where we want. Okay, so yeah, I made a mistake with the link service, so that's why it was failing. So let's go back in ADF again, right, and click on, let me cancel out of here. Right, so I've used the right link service now, so let me publish it once. Okay, the publishing is done, so let me go back to the pipeline and start it again. So let's click on debug. Where is it? There you go. Let's see what happens now. All right, yeah, so yeah, if you see now the first copy, let me show down the first copy is successful. It's doing the second copy, so this way it will copy all the 12 tables. So yeah, let's just wait and see how it goes. Okay, the pipeline is completed and it succeeded. So if we look at the time it took, so it ended at 7:50 p.m. My local time, and I had started at 7:47, so it took 3 minutes to copy all the 12 tables, and they're very small, so that's the amount of time it took. So let's go to the database and see if we got the tables, and let's go here. So this is my destination database. I'll just refresh the tables and refresh this. So if you see now, we have these table sales LT address, these ones, these are the new ones which I have come in, and this one build version employee. And if you want to check the number of rows in both, what if we copied the right, so let's take one table, let's pick up this one. So yeah, so if I just do select count start from this, let's do customer address, copy this and click run that one. So this got 417 rows here, so let's go in here and create a new query on this one, and let's copy that query and run it. So yep, so we've got the same number of rows and same number of tables in both databases now. So that's all it was for this video. This is how we could copy a small database with all the tables, copy all the tables across two databases. That's all I had for today. Thanks for joining, thanks for watching the video, and if you have any questions, any comments, just post them and I'll try and help you. Thanks, bye.